Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Hello?
Hey, what's happening?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing exceptionally well, thanks for asking. And you?
Great.
Now, before we get too far, I need to let you know that you are on the lockdown episode of the Feeling Station, so please do not say your name, okay?
Okay.
And to get the ball rolling, I've obviously set up a name for you because what's great about this podcast is that we keep everybody anonymous.
Okay.
So what that means is I need to find a name for you, and you also need to find a name for the guy that you're going to talk about. So whilst I'm giving you your name, have a little think about what you want to call this guy.
Okay.
All right. So I've chosen a name from Ethiopia, and this name is Kamali. And what that means is spirit guide or somebody who's a protector.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Now, how befitting is that for you and the story you're going to tell? Were you a protector of yourself and others?
Protector of myself then, no. Protector of myself now, yes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's got a meaning.
Others then, no. Now, yes.
Oh, that is fantastic. And what name are you giving the guy that you're going to talk about?
Let's call him Rambo.
Rambo? As in Rambo from the movies?
I think let's just call him Rambo as in Rambo. You know how when we're growing up, every dog that was vicious and wanted to bite was called Rambo. Exactly. So this is where we sit.
So was this guy a vicious guy?
In the beginning, no, but I think, or maybe he always was. I just wasn't privy to it, and then it developed as time.
Okay, so this is something that came to life, to light eventually over time.
Exactly.
Let's get straight into it. What did you like about Rambo?
So Rambo is your easygoing character. You know, the guy that you meet and he makes you laugh instantly. The guy that is happy-go. For some reason, there is no stress around him. There's no pressure. There's no... It's like this guy that's so into you and you fly high on this. There's this high that you get from somebody that's so into you, that's infusing you with all these happy hormones, and you kind of miss everything else going on except that.
So it sounds like you were pretty deep in love with this guy. Is this something that happened instantly, or this is something that happened over time?
Not really. I remember the first time I met him was at a club. I should have known.
You say that. You say you should have known. But funny enough, I actually know some guys who've been married for 22 years and they met at the club.
True.
Yeah, so the club can be a bit of a hit and miss, and it sounds like yours might have been a miss.
A major miss.
Okay. So y'all were in the club, and then what
So
happened?
I met him on the club. He's the guy on the floor, and he's dancing, and everybody's got the circle around him. And I'm thinking, oh, wow. And we don't speak because I see him around town anyway. So every time I see him, he's always telling me, I'm going to marry you. Every time I see him, he's always saying the same thing. I'm going to marry you. I'm going to marry you. And at that point, I'm thinking this guy is crazy. He's not the kind of guy I would date anyway. He's not the kind of guy that I'd ever get with.
What kind of guy was he then? Or rather, let me ask, what kind of guy were you after that he didn't match up to?
You know how we're brought up to, you have to marry a guy that's educated, marry a guy that's gone to school, marry a guy with a good job, marry a guy from a good family, marry a guy, all those things. So I'm SDA. I have an SDA background, which even speaks to...
What's SDA?
Seventh-day Adventist.
Oh, okay.
So that is marrying SDA, so a person of the same faith. So he was never on that list at all. Okay. He doesn't fit into the check boxes. He doesn't fit into anything.
Okay.
He was your anomaly in everything.
So is that the reason why you were attracted to him? That he doesn't meet the standard expectation of the person you should have been with?
I met him when I finally got my mind into, okay, let me try and date this guy. I had just gone through a heartbreak.
Okay.
One of the numerous. So at that point, you're a child, and not really a child, because at that point, everybody around me, my friends were getting married. If they're not getting married, they're pregnant.
Yeah.
There's everything going on in everyone's life except mine. So this guy that I thought, okay, this is the sun, the moon, and the sky, disappoints me. And then this guy comes in and he looks at me as if I'm the best thing that's ever happened to him. Like literally the sun sets in my ass. So sun rises and sets in my ass. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? We could do this.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long. The next minute it's, I want to marry you. And I'm thinking, okay, everybody else is getting married, so let me do this. And yes, marry me. This is 3 months later into the whole relationship. At that point, my defense was, I've known him for as long as I've known the guy next door anyway. So what's there to know that I don't know? And I didn't tell this to my family. I didn't tell it to my friends. I just made it sound like it's been a relationship that had been going on for a while.
What was your reason for not telling your family and friends?
Because I think at the back of my mind, I knew that nobody would ever approve.
Okay.
And also that it wasn't the right choice. I knew it, and I didn't want anybody to echo what I already knew.
So your sixth sense was already having a conversation with you about this right from the onset.
Exactly.
Okay. So before we go too far, for anybody who's listening to this podcast for the very first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about. And the important thing that we pick out from this is that there's a lesson behind every episode that is given. So before we go too far, I'd like to draw out some of the lessons or the lesson that you would like listeners to pick out from today's episode.
First thing I think for me is your gut. If there's one thing I've learned, it's literally if my gut says no, it's a no.
So trust your
from
gut.
From a Christian background, it also speaks to how I believe in the Holy Spirit. It comes to a point where you're always going to be led by the Holy Spirit. People call it all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's that thing that says, go this way, don't go this way. That's exactly what you should listen to.
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. And another thing for me is the beauty, I think, of family and the strength, the invisible strength of family that we tend to ignore, especially when we're going rogue, is probably the best. It's probably your biggest fighting weapon in any situation across the board. Be it be breakup, be it be career, be it be school. That's your biggest invisible strength. The pity, I only kind of figured that out years later.
I mean, but the important thing is that at least that lesson came to life and you acknowledge it and you do appreciate how real it is.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So, yeah, do you want to go on with, did you have any more lessons?
Apart from that, I think those two kind of then repeat everything else.
Okay.
But those are your two major.
Well, we kind of split it into three, but I see why you can call them two, because the first one is to trust your gut, and your gut is actually the Holy Spirit that is having that conversation with you. So listen to it because it's never wrong. And then the second one is family. Your family ties are stronger and the biggest source of strength for you than you can ever imagine or appreciate.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So let's go on. So this guy now says that he wants to marry you, and you're thinking, okay, let's do this, but you haven't told any family member because you knew they would echo the sentiments you had in your mind. What then happened next?
So my story is a bit of a disastrous one. Anyone listening will probably think I'm probably the one with the biggest problem, and I agree now.
Okay.
I wouldn't have agreed then, but I agree now. So he says he wants to marry me, and at this point, I'm actually on my last year of college uni, and I'm thinking, I don't have anything stable. Nothing is coming, and everybody else around me has something stable. I always joke and I say I left home at the age of 13 when I went to boarding school. It's kind of true because once you go to boarding school, the only time you go back home is holidays.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't seem like home anymore. It just seems like this place where you stop
Yeah.
and then kind of go back to normal life. So that's basically what happened to me. So even the company that I went to required that I leave home completely and only go back holidays. So this is my final year, and I'm thinking, if I don't do this right, I'm going to go back home, and don't want to go back home. That's not my home. I need to go somewhere. So I literally always have to go somewhere. I'm always going somewhere and coming back home to recoup or on a holiday.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So he says he wants to marry me, and I'm thinking, okay, great. And then the whole traditional thing is set up. Of note is the day in which they were going to do the whole lobola traditional thing. The night before, I spent with my ex, the one that had led me to this point.
Wait a minute. How and why?
So my ex and I start speaking up again, and we are sort of resolving our issues in one way or the other.
In a nutshell, why did you break up in the first place with him?
He cheated.
Okay, so he came back to you saying he regrets that and he wants to fix things?
He wants to fix things. But so at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you cheated on me. I don't trust you enough to stop what I've already started.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, if I allow you to do this once, you're going to do it to me over and over. This is not the kind of life I want to live.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do it. But I didn't do that. I just allowed him to think that we were working things out or things were going to be okay. So the night before the whole Ebola thing, I spent the night with him. In the morning, I remember willing him to stop me from going, because I actually went on to lie at home and I said, I can't make it the night before. I'll make it home in the morning. And I gave some smart excuse as to why. And truthfully speaking, I don't think anybody at home expected me to lie about anything like that.
Yeah.
Nobody does, actually.
Yeah.
That's the best day of any girl. You grow up looking forward to that one day. So at this point, everything is messed up. I am lying to stay with my ex. I'm lying to my to-be husband about not making it on time. I'm lying to my family. I am lying to everybody. I'm lying to myself.
Did you sleep with your ex that night?
Yes, I did. I did.
Oh, dear.
And I remember the morning when he was saying, okay, so am I seeing you later? I said, yeah, sure. I just need to go home and get a couple of things. So his head, he's not even thinking that I am doing that. I am not, you see, I've never projected I am going to cheat on you.
Yeah.
I am going to make you up. I'm always the girl in the relationship that does everything that I'm expected to do. So we should have actually been warning signs, because I'm acting out.
Yeah.
I'm acting out,
out of character. Yeah.
But like I said,
sorry, did he know that you were getting married?
No, he didn't. He didn't even know I was seeing somebody else.
Wow.
He didn't. I kept this under wraps in a way that I don't think I could ever replicate that kind of scheming. And I'm not even sure if I actually made an effort to do it or it just came easily.
Yeah.
I don't know. So fast forward, we go and we do the whole traditional lobola thing. And of note is my husband that I was marrying I'd said to him, you know what? I've gone through too much shit. I'm not going to sleep with you before you go home and do the right thing. So I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm not going to have any sexual
contact with you
at all. So yeah, we're going to have to wait for this thing to go through, and then you then are allowed in the eyes of God. So I'm reenacting this whole purity thing in a way of getting this guy in a zone where I'm perfect and I am exactly what he wants.
Oh my word.
But on the other side, I am, for lack of a better term, fucking up
in
possible way.
Mm.
So we do the whole lobola thing, everything goes well. But I remember when the whole thing was going on, I was just thinking, this is not what I want. But my mom, oh my word, my mom looked like I had done the best thing on the planet. My
Wow.
mom, the look of my mom's relation, I have always had a difficult relationship with my mom. So that particular day, I've only got two things that I remember where my mom's face lit up. The first was when I passed my O level. My mom told the whole town, literally, oh, this is my child, she passed her O level. Oh, this is my daughter, she passed her O level. Oh, this is it. So you know that look of pride. Second time I saw that look was the day that the lobola thing went through.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, my mom looks like that, so it's worth it. It's cool. I can do this.
Okay.
My mom is a single mom. My dad died when I was 8.
Okay.
So she's my only parent. Not so true though, because my aunt had then stepped in as my dad. So both of them were just over the moon. At this point, my aunt has left the country, so I can't see her, but she's been like literally always there. These two women, you know, over the moon. I've achieved something that I've gone and done, and you know, it's like the child that has done well. So that's exactly what happened.
And all the while, you know, deep inside, this is not what you really want. So
Not what I want.
you're feeling conflicted at this point.
Hmm.
You had the opportunity to stop and make everything right, but it doesn't sound like you did.
No, I didn't, because I then met my ex again, and everything went as if everything was normal.
And this was after the whole dowry thing had gone through?
Exactly. So my ex doesn't know that I'm married.
Wow. Okay.
My fiance, or it traditionally becomes my husband, doesn't know I've gone to fuck another man. My mom thinks I've gone off to school. My family thinks I am celebrating with my friends. Everybody thinks I'm somewhere where I'm actually not.
So where was your fiance then at this point?
At home.
Your husband.
At his
Okay.
house.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. He went back home, and yeah. So and then I'm gone back to college, and I go on as normal. Like everything is normal. And then I decide at this point I want a baby. I decided, okay, I want a baby.
Right.
So now, because I want a baby, I'm allowed to have a baby because my family knows I'm married. I want a baby. So I go and I say to my then husband, I want a baby.
Okay. I was a bit nervous that I wasn't sure who you wanted to have the baby with.
Actually, it gets twisted. I want a baby. And at that point, I then indulge. Yes, I get pregnant. And I wheel myself into, this is my husband's baby. At the back of my mind, I'm thinking it could actually be my ex's baby, but no, it can't be. And then I decide, no, it's my husband's baby. I'm going to ride that wave. It's going to be my husband's baby.
Okay.
And this is where I think the whole thing kind of starts getting twisted, because when I'm 3 months pregnant, at that time, economically, where we were, things just went south.
Yeah.
And we had a fight over money. And then in our fight over money, his mom is late. I said to him, your mom's turning in her grave right now. Because this is the man that you're becoming. You can't fight with me over money. When I say that, he turns around and he beats me up.
Oh, no.
I'm 3 months pregnant.
No.
This is a guy that's supposed to be my ego feed kind of thing. This is a guy that's supposed to, worship the ground I walk on. He beats me up. And I remember thinking, things like this don't happen to girls like me. That was my first thought.
Mm.
Things like this don't happen at all in my world. This is not happening. So something happened. Maybe he made a mistake. I'm excusing the whole thing. He comes, he says he's sorry, and I sweep it under the carpet.
Yikes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fast forward again, we move into our own house. When we move into our house, his whole family moves in with us.
Mm-mm.
So at this point, I am barely grown. Our marriage is basically brand new, and then a whole family comes in. Oh my word! Now I am living with my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and 3 boys that I'm thrown into, and I'm not ready for that. This is not what I signed up for.
I mean, but why did that happen though?
Because that's what I didn't know was he was the breadwinner.
Okay.
But his mom is late. So the mom that I'm referring to is his mom's sister.
Okay.
So I didn't expect that to happen at any point. I didn't even know these are the dynamics. Go back to the fact that we dated for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
The fundamental questions were never asked. The expectations were never communicated.
Yeah.
The desires were never spoken of. The road, your journey, what you want for your life. We never had that conversation. My assumption is we are on par. His assumption was, I don't know what his assumption was really. I don't think we ever even spoke about it.
It sounds like his assumption was you see and you know.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm still pregnant at this point, and the abuse kind of then escalates. We fight. Every time we fight, he beats me up. Every time we fight, he beats me up. His family doesn't intervene.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Is this happening in front of the family? And it sounds like it is.
Yeah, at all. This family doesn't intervene at all. Then this one time he fights, he beats me up. I remember walking. I had a relative that lived close to where we were living. I walked there. I got there, and I couldn't tell them why I had come home. I could barely walk. This is my belly. It's as huge as, I don't know. It was huge. And I'm walking, and I get there. I'm in pain. I can't explain why I'm there. I can't tell anybody this is what's happening. I can't say anything. I'm asked the question, are you okay? Yes, I'm good. Is everything okay? Oh, everything is good. How's your husband? Oh, he's good. How's the family? Everything is good. I go back home. I'm very close to a cousin of mine. He walks me back home. He keeps nagging, what's wrong? Because he can tell something is off. And I keep saying, no, everything is fine.
Yeah.
Everything is fine.
Yeah.
So couple of weeks later, he beats me up again. And this time I go home and my mom is there. And I cannot speak to my mom. I cannot tell her what's going on.
But why couldn't you speak to your mom?
Because I didn't want my mom to, I didn't want to explain that this is what's going on with me. I didn't want anyone to know that this is what's going on with me.
So why did you go home in the first place?
Because a part of me wanted to go home and speak to my mom, but I couldn't say exactly what was going on.
Okay.
So eventually the baby comes. I remember praying, Lord, I want this baby to look like me. And the baby comes and looks basically like my sister. So, okay, that's cool. The baby grows, baby looks more like him than anybody else. So that kind of sets the whole thing to rest. Like, oh.
It puts you at peace.
Yeah, like it puts me at ease. Like,
okay.
And then somebody else comes into the room and says, no, man, this baby looks like your ex. My world shatters.
Whoa.
But everybody else, 99% is saying my baby looks like my husband. So I'm cool.
So does your husband and ex, did your husband and your ex look alike?
No,
okay.
They are worlds apart.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so it kind of but then again, in my defense, I said she's probably saying that because she was that friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's always that one friend that kind of sets everything into disarray. Yeah, so she was that friend.
Yeah.
So remember, we've just had the whole lobola. We haven't done the whole white wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So by right, we're supposed to have done the white wedding first, but I got pregnant and we all agreed, let's freeze it.
Yeah.
Let's wait for the whole thing to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I have the baby, then we'll have the wedding. And we did have the wedding. When we have the wedding, the morning of my wedding, I'm dressed up. And then I remove my dress and I said, I can't do this.
Oh.
So everybody sits me down. No, it's like this. We're so proud of you. Your dad in heaven is looking at you and he's proud. You know, every bride gets this. I can't do this. I'm trying to explain it. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. And eventually I can. And I did. And I was early to my wedding and he was late.
Can I ask you why you were telling yourself you can't do this?
Because I didn't want to be somebody's punching bag.
Okay.
I didn't want to. Already, I was starting to feel the low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
I was starting to feel like I'm not good enough. I was starting to understand why my ex had cheated on me. I was starting to make sense in quotes
Mm-hmm.
of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we get married. And then at this time, the baby is old enough to be left at home and I get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble, if there was trouble before, trouble kind of goes up to 100 now. I have a job, which means I'm financially independent. It means I have a better job than him. So all along, I thought he had some job that was great.
Yeah.
And then I discover he's the office messenger.
Okay.
I am a graduate. I am the apple of my mother's eye, or so I thought at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I am everything that I'm that girl that when you marry and you think, you know, he who marries a good wife, he who marries a wife finds a good thing. Basically, I'm that. And then so I say to him, you know what? School to me, a guy that's educated has always been drilled into my head. A man has to be educated. I say to him, listen, let me take you to school so we can level the plane.
Yeah.
My job is, I earn enough money to take you to school. Let me take you to school. Please let me take you to school. I'm getting obsessive. Please let me take you to school. Please, I need to take you to school. He says he's not going to go to school because school is not his thing. He wants to get into business, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So the more I nagged, the more tension it built. The more tension it built, the more fights and the abuse and. And then we tried counseling. I remember the counselor asked me, he was a pastor at church. He asked me straight, he says, do you love this man? Because if you say no,
yeah,
this whole thing is done. There's no point to cancel. If you say you love him, then we've got something to work on. So because I'm embarrassed again, I said, yes, I do. But I didn't. At that point, I don't. I want out. But it's only been a year into this thing and I really can't fail. I am your obsessive. I cannot fail. I'm going to fail. I'm going to be a family stat. I am going to be a single mother. I am going to be everything that society doesn't appreciate or society doesn't accept.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And my friends are looking like they are making strides. And on the other hand, I'm the breadwinner in my family. So now I can understand why my friends are doing better than I am. So if I work a little harder, I'm going to beat my friends. I'm going to be better than the girl next door. I'm going to be the one my friends referred to as, oh, she's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So I started pushing myself. I started taking on extra jobs. I started doing extra things. It just became this thing. I have to find the money to sustain our lives. In the process of pushing hard, he slowed down. He stopped getting out of bed. He'd go to work, yes, but I'm not taking away people that are office messengers. People do it for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do it out of need. Some people, it's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted better.
Mm-hmm.
And I deserved better. I kept telling myself I deserved better. So the more he did that, the more I stopped looking at him as a man. I stopped looking at him as a breadwinner, the head of my home, the father of my child. All these negative things kind of came into play. And I just I wasn't having it
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So I turned to the bottle. I started drinking. I started partying. I remember this one day I was so drunk in the morning. He wakes me up. He says, "There are people here to see you." I pick up my bottles of alcohol that I'd slept holding, and I
Wow.
get into the lounge and I
Yeah.
find there's an intervention.
Uh, uh,
There's
uh,
pastors from the church,
Whoa.
and I'm carrying bottles of alcohol. And at this point, everybody's praying and trying to talk to me about God, and my mind is just woozing, like I'm not there. I am trying to act okay. I am
Mm-hmm.
trying to act like, listen, I'm not an addict. I'm not this. I'm not that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is, at that point, everything is just unraveling.
I have to
And
ask
then,
you this question. A
mhm,
lot of people, when they turn to the bottle, it's because they are very stressed about something, and the feeling of being tipsy or drunk numbs that for a little bit.
mhm, mhm.
What were you trying to numb? Because you were doing very well. You were working really hard. You were making good progress financially. So why did you turn to the
Yeah, but
bottle?
I wasn't happy. I hated my life.
Okay.
The only good thing was the fact that I had this beautiful boy.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from everything else, I hated my life. I hated how everything was working out, and I was just trying to look for a way out.
Okay.
So eventually, I got clean of the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a boyfriend.
Hold up a sec.
Yeah,
Hold up a sec.
I, I
Your
s-
your
yeah.
your your ex. When did you stop
Mm.
seeing him?
3 months into our marriage, he
Okay, so
found
three.
out.
Okay, found out. So you stopped seeing him. You continued with your husband, and then a boyfriend has come into the picture now.
Yeah, a completely different man comes
Okay.
into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference with this man is he knows me. He knows my story. I'm honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
he I meet him in a setup where we're all friends, and
Yeah.
he's a friend of a friend. So the day I meet him, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just fed up with my home life.
Yeah.
My best friend is there with me, so I tell her everything. And that day was just, I actually can't remember what tipped the scales. Oh yes, I had gone to work. He had beat me up, and I'd gone to work with a swollen lip.
Yeah.
The guy in the factory had said to me, I can't say it in English. It has to be said in isiNdebele. He had
Mm-hmm.
said, "Mntanami, awumelanga uphile ngendlela ophila ngayo.
Mm-hmm.
Buyela ngekhaya uyetshela abadala."
That sounds to
This
me
is,
like you can't continue living the way that you're living. Come back home and
yeah,
talk to the family.
yeah. This is because I had told him that I walked into the wall or something stupid like that, and
Mm.
he said, "No, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
This is not.
Yeah. He could read in between the lines.
Yeah, this is not how it's gonna go down."
Mm.
And the day that it had happened was, so my grandmother is gravely ill. My grandmother is my dad's mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's been a major part of my life.
Yeah.
She's been, see, when my dad passed away, my dad's family rallied and became my dad. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So there are different faces of my dad as I'm growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother is one of those faces. She's a strong woman. This is another reason why I never said that I was being beaten up. My grandmother is one of those. Remember, do you know anything about the Beijing conference?
No. Please tell me.
Beijing conference is your, if I say feminist, I sound like being a bit much. Okay, it's empowerment to women.
Mm-hmm.
So all these women across the world come together. There's this conference that basically says,
Oh, yes. I know it actually.
yeah, power to women.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother is one of the representatives in that whole thing.
Ooh.
I come from a family of strong women.
Okay.
All the women in my family, my mother included, are your doers. They are your, I get this done kind of women. The women in my family do not fail.
Mm-hmm.
The women in my family. But at that point, I'm not saying that the women in my family are economically okay, progressive. Socially, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of relationships, in terms of our marriages, in terms of. But all I'm saying is the women in my family don't fail.
Mm.
So my grandmother, so he beats me up a day before. So I call my grandmother. She's very sick. I say to her, "I'm going to come and see you tomorrow."
Mm-hmm.
He beats me up the evening prior. So I can't go and see my grandmother because my face is all beat. So I say to her, I'm going to come and see you the day after tomorrow because I've got so many things. The baby's sick. I give up all these reasons why I can't come. So I skip the day that I'm supposed to go and see my grandmother. But the day after that, I say, I need to go. Something tells me I need to go. I need to go. But my face is still swollen. I'm saying, I need to go. So I went after work. I get there. My grandmother is gravely ill. And I spend a couple of hours with her. Then I leave. When I'm leaving, I say to her, Gogo, Sengham. She doesn't respond. Gogo, Sengham. She doesn't respond.
And Senghamba means Gogo, I'm going.
Gogo, I'm going. And then I leave. And then a couple of hours, about 30 minutes before I even get home, my aunt, who was there at the time, calls me and says, your grand's gone.
Oh, no.
The last person she looked for was you. If there's a break in life, that is my break. If there's anything that, if there's a veil that tears, if there's anything in life that redirects things or sets things into motion, that is the day for me. So I go back, we discuss everything that's supposed to be done. You know how families come together, she gets buried, and everything is done.
Yeah.
But at this point, something has shifted. I think a week or so later, I'm venting to my best friend. And then I met this guy. This guy listens to my story and he looks at me and he says, you know what, you're going to be okay. Oh, okay, you don't know me, but I'm going to be okay. He says, yeah, you're going to be okay. And he says, so what are you into? He appeals to my intellect. There is no greater orgy for me. There's no greater cum than a man that appeals to my intellect.
Right.
There's nothing that beats that. If there's a foreplay, that is a foreplay.
Nice.
For me.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, that is like the foreplay. That will get me coming. So I get into this relationship with him. We start off as friends. And it happens without even realizing that we've gotten into this relationship. But because he appealed to the one thing that my husband couldn't figure out, it became the strongest relationship I'd ever had.
Wow.
So, and up till now, if it had happened different place, different timing, different circumstances, I'd probably regard that as the best relationship ever in a way.
It almost sounds to me like you'd have got married to him.
I would have, I think. He was attractive to me intellectually. Everything else was, okay, I can deal with this. But he got me in a way that nobody else at that point, at that time, could get me. So then my husband finds out. Remember, he's a violent sort. He goes after him and he beats him up to pulp.
Whoa.
When he beats him up to pulp, police get involved and he gets arrested. And then his mom's sister then calls my mom and says, can you tell your child to tell her boyfriend to get my child out of jail? So now, finally, what I've been avoiding comes, the thing that I was avoiding, everybody knows. Now my mom knows. So I told my mom the truth. I told her everything. I explained everything.
Yeah.
So this is the part where my mom was my mom, became my mom. So my mom says, this is not how we're going to do this, but you need to fix things. You need to fix this relationship. You need to fix everything. So I speak to his mom and he comes out of jail. And then a part of me feels guilty and I think, let me stay for a bit. But like I said, remember, I said my grandmother broke. That was my breaking point. I got up one day and I said, I'm not doing this. So I went and I looked for a job. I got a job out of the country. And then he discovered and he tore up my passport.
Wow.
So when he tore up my passport, I stick around a bit longer, but I'm actively trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got out. My affair is over. This guy doesn't want anything to do with me.
Yeah,
I try
because
everything and anything under the sun. He does not want anything to do with me. He literally disappears off the face of the planet. So my heart is broken again, but I'm thinking, okay, I need to make an active move. So I move out of our house. I move back home to my mom.
mm-hmm.
Then I move out of my mom's and I get my own place. But that's not enough because he keeps coming. So he loses the house that we had, and now he's sleeping in the car. And then humanity demands that I give him a roof over his head because he's the father of my child.
Wow.
And I do that, and nothing changes. So one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm leaving the country. This
Mm-hmm.
is the only way I'm going to survive this. I'm
Mhm.
leaving the country.
Mhm.
And I ran. So when I ran, because I went into autopilot for the longest time and I stopped dealing with how I felt. So when I ran and I left the country, I'm in a new country, brand new country. This is day one of the rest of my life.
Mm.
I find a different drug to cope. It's not alcohol, it's
Mhm.
sex.
Wow.
So
Okay.
sex becomes my coping drug until one day I realized, no, this is not going to work.
Mhm.
I need to clean myself up. I need to remember who I am. I'm starting to do the mantra. Remember who you are. Remember where you come from. At this point, my family is aware. At this point, everybody's like the invisible strength that I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's coming into play. Everybody is aware of what I was going through. Everybody's aware of the things I've had to live.
Mm.
So everybody starts, you know what, you need to get yourself together. We are going to be here,
Mhm.
whatever you need. In a foreign country, I got my rent paid. I got an opportunity to go back to school.
Yeah.
I got somebody to pay all my bills and make sure I am okay
Mhm.
for 3 years of my life.
Wow.
And I got an opportunity to just start afresh.
Yeah.
When I asked for a divorce, naturally and predictably, it was a fight. But the
Mhm.
difference was this time I'm too far for you to beat me up.
Yeah.
But he fought in every possible form. Now he wants to blackmail me into, I'm going to tell the court, I'm going to tell the world that you are a hoe,
Mhm.
you're a bitch, you're a slut. So that's exposing me, my darkness to the world. Nobody wants their darkness exposed.
Mm.
So I play nice for a while. Then one day I figure, this is not going to work. If he's going to tell the world, let him tell the world. There's nothing, it can't be worse than what I've been through.
Yeah, you got to a breaking point where you felt you needed to liberate yourself.
Exactly. It can't be worse than what I've been through.
Mm.
So he refused to do the divorce thing. Then the law is the law. It always has a loophole. So I
Mhm.
went around the long way. I still got the divorce done.
Mhm.
The day I got my divorce papers, that gave me full custody, full guardianship of my child, was the day I said I am free.
Wow.
So for the longest time, my relationships, even after my divorce, suffered because I always thought I needed to go the extra mile for somebody to accept me. I'm too dirty,
Mhm.
too tainted
Mhm. Mhm.
to be loved. That's the problem with abuse and domestic abuse. Abuse in every form. It kills the confidence. It
Yeah.
kills the enough. It
Mhm.
kills the I am as I am. I am all that you need.
Mhm.
So for the longest time, I would get into relationships. They don't even last 3 months. But I'm hurting.
Mm.
Hurt people hurt other people.
Mm.
I'm hurting. So in the process of hurting, I'm hurting everybody else that comes in my path until I said it's time to stop. That whole sabbatical that I took was exactly what my body needed, what my mind, what my soul, what my heart needed to come back to self. It was, it's time to take care of myself. It's time to love
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
Instead of buying this guy a shirt, let me buy myself that shirt. Instead of buying roses for a man, let me buy myself those roses. I got to that point of, let me do me.
Mm-hmm.
The mantra that women like to sing, I'm doing me. For others, it's a mantra that's stupid and women are being women. For some of us, it's survival.
Yeah.
It was survival. It was, I am going to do me. I'm going to wake up in the morning every day and chant. This is who I am. This is where I come from. I am a child of this. I am this. I am that. And every single day when I felt like I'm sleeping, I would need to start the mantra.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is where I come from. Until a point where now, when somebody gives, the best way to pay back is to give back.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I try and do all the time. If I sense something is not okay, you're not going to tell me, but I'm probably going to figure it out because I've been that girl.
Yeah.
So I pull what I can, the people that I can. I try. It's not enough. It's something that I think personally, when I can, I am probably going to do and make sure I can get those women, I can get the friends, the sisters. So all my friends, fun enough, call me the counselor.
Mm-hmm.
All my friends come to me. All my friends.
Is it because you've had that experience and you know what it's like to be in a really dark place?
Exactly.
And I'm just going to point out something that I'm not sure you may have noticed, but right at the beginning, you were talking about how a lot of stuff was happening around you. Your friends were getting this, your friends were making this kind of progress. And when you now got married, the same kind of progress that they were making, you wanted to try and match up. You've always had a competitive streak within yourself, but that competitive streak almost felt like you always wanted to prove people otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that this low self-esteem issue may have been embedded within you without you even knowing. Hence, you wanting to always try and prove yourself to be better than the others.
True.
But then what eventually happened is that life said to you, look, it doesn't work this way. You need to understand who you are in the first instance before you can get better than other people naturally. And that's the place that you got yourself to be in when you moved.
Mm-hmm.
And you started chanting this mantra to say that you are better than other people. You realize that abuse kills confidence, it kills self-esteem, and you realize that self-love is enough, and you're in a much better place now.
And crying. I never used to cry. I learned to cry. I would actually go in front of the mirror and do the face. The tears wouldn't come. The tears wouldn't come because my mind didn't understand what I was trying to do. But my heart kept saying, cry. My mind kept saying, no, we do not cry.
Yeah.
And my heart said, no, cry. The day I cried was the day that, it's healing when you cry. You come face to face with yourself. You come face to face with your failures.
Yeah.
You come face to face with the path that you want to take. You have a choice, I think, at that point. Do I stay as I am or do I do better? In my do better, it changed my understanding of doing better changed drastically from I need to be financially better.
Yeah.
I need to be socially better. I need to be intellectually better. It changed to I need to be better in the sense that whatever I need to be at that point is okay. If I need to be weak, it's okay. If I'm failing, it's okay.
Yeah.
If it's not going well, it's okay. It's okay. It's a moment in time. It's okay.
That is absolutely amazing. Given where you are. And just as I'm wrapping this up, to anybody who's had the opportunity and time to listen to this episode, what the first lesson was that you need to listen to your gut and believe in what the Holy Spirit was saying. And consistently through this episode, we've heard the sixth sense speaking to Kamali. It constantly said that don't do this, this is not right, leave. But then she wasn't in a position to make that move because there were issues around abuse, there were issues around confidence, there were issues around self-esteem. But through all of that, another lesson that came out was that family is really your strongest point and is that invisible hand that helps you when you're at your lowest. And now what she does in turn is give that support to people and friends who might be going through the same problem. And this is why this podcast is really important, because the lessons that we try and draw, we hope are useful to somebody who's listening to this episode. And the one thing that I want to drone in and drill into anybody who's listening to this, which is in addition to this list of lessons, is that domestic abuse is not okay. In whatever face that it's given, whether it's physical abuse, it's financial abuse, it's emotional abuse, it is not okay. And coming from somebody who's had that experience, what is the one piece of advice you would give someone who's battling leaving an abusive situation or not, just as we close this off? What would you tell them?
Okay, so the trick is to just, I think for pain, is to just go through. You don't shy away. You go through with it. You face it. You look at yourself in the mirror, see all the faces, deal with the faces, learn from the faces. You learn something. Everything is a lesson. Every single thing is a lesson. Be it good, be it bad. Every single thing is a lesson. It gets you ready for something else, for the next day. It's like a ladder. There are steps in a ladder. For you to get to the next one, you have to step on the one before. So it's the same thing with life. Every day prepares you for the day after and the day after and the day after. So it's a story that you can't cheat. Actually, you can't cheat. Yeah. Everything that you do now comes back at some point. So you better do it right. Or you better be accepting of the fact that you failed and deal with it. At school, we used to have corrections. Corrections are in play. There's always time to correct yourself, but you just need to be willing to get there and say, okay, I've done wrong. I need to fix this. You need to be sorry. There are things, which was one of the hardest things for me, saying I'm sorry to my mom. Saying I'm sorry, mama, for not having come sooner. Sorry for the things that I did. Sorry for hurting you, because I'm her child. And as a mother, any pain to your child is pain to you. I needed to learn that lesson. So now when I look at her and what she carries, I'm in awe of that woman. I am in awe of what my mother has carried.
That is really important. Well, thank you very much. I mean, this was a really, really deep conversation, and I appreciate you reaching out and asking us to have this conversation, because I know somebody right now is going through something similar, and listening to this episode might just help them. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I feel better.
That's good. Well, you've all been listening to another lockdown episode of the Feeling Station. Remember, trust your instinct, trust your gut, trust in the Holy Spirit and what it's saying to you. Remember that family bonds are stronger than you could ever imagine. And if your mantra has been to try and prove yourself to be better than others, take a step back and remember that you need to know and understand yourself enough to start making real life-changing progress. I'm your host, Tinto. You've been listening to The Feeling Station, and I look forward to catching you in the next episode. Remember to stay home and stay safe. Peace.
It's just so insane.